Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, they got you covered at Gulf Coast Office Products. I'm glad to be back in the studio. After that week away, I do not envy Jimmy and Charlie being out on the road every single day. I like the structure and the comfort of the studio and if y'all have noticed this on Friday, I didn't even realize Beck wasn't there on Friday. Taylor was producing the show. I asked Beck a question. Taylor's like, "Well, it's Taylor." I was like, "What?" You feel like you're on a different planet when you're not attached to this desk. So it was a fun week. I'm thrilled that we did it, but I'm glad to be back in the studio today with a little bit more structural, a little more routine. That's a nice change of pace. And that said, I'll be out of the studio again on Friday because I'll be out at the box for opening day, and we'll have our show set up just outside the box. Not exactly sure what time we're going to be on the air. Last year we did a deal where I was on from noon to 2. And then Matt came on and did 4 hours on AFR. That may be the case this week, or I might switch times with the morning with the Live at Lunch guys. They might go 1 to 3, and I might go 11 to 1. We'll see. LSU plays at 2 o'clock on Friday at the box, so I'll be out there one way or another. Then I'll go right up there and cover the game in the press box as well. So I'm looking very much forward to Friday and getting ready for the baseball season. A couple of notes. One, me and Musso recorded our season preview that we've done the last 3 years now earlier today. That should go live on YouTube tomorrow. I'll be sure to tweet that out when it goes live. But we chopped up the LSU baseball roster for about 40 minutes, I think. That was rough estimate based on what the clock said. So that'll be up on YouTube coming up. If you want to look at the entire roster, you can get that from us there. And also, LouisianaSports.net, we're going to have a ton of LSU baseball coverage. I've got a column up from yesterday that is some 4 predictions for LSU baseball in 2025. I'm going to go through those, but I'll have a series snapshot every single Friday, getting ready for the weekend series. I'll have my Around the Horn column every single Monday ready to roll. That'll kind of go through the entirety of the weekend and give my thoughts on it. So if you're looking for LSU baseball coverage, you got it all at LouisianaSports.net, and it is for free, not a cent out of your pocket to go to LouisianaSports.net. So check that out all season long. Let's go into some of the predictions that I had for LSU baseball for the season. One of them that I said LSU will not be swept this year. Last year, you'll recall LSU was swept twice. They were swept by Arkansas and by Tennessee, and that's not uncommon. I was a little shocked that 2 years ago in LSU's national championship year in 2023, LSU was the only one of 14 SEC teams that was not swept. So it happens. This is a tough league. You go on the road. There's tough arms. It's hard to win games, and you can have a weekend get away from you pretty quickly. I think some of you will remember that year Tennessee, who was coming off of that phenomenal season of the year prior, they got swept by Missouri in the opener of that season. So Florida played LSU in the national championship series and was a fantastic team. They were swept at some point. I want to say either Georgia or Alabama got them. So it happens. Teams get swept, and I don't think that this LSU team will get swept. Usually when it happens, it's on the road. The 2 toughest road trips LSU has, I think, this year are a trip to Texas and to Texas A&M. Going to College Station to face this team is going to be difficult. But the reason I think that LSU's got a good chance not to be swept is because you've got a lot of balance on the mound and at the plate. You're not top heavy in either spot. And if you're a top heavy team and if you've just got Tommy White hitting home runs and Jared Jones hitting home runs and those 2 guys have a bad weekend last year, well, all of a sudden you could be in some trouble. LSU doesn't really have that. They've got kind of a balanced lineup that should fight off prolonged swoons, and I just like the makeup of LSU's lineup in that way, and the amount of arms that LSU can turn to out of the in the starting rotation in the bullpen as well. So I've got LSU not being swept all year as my first bold prediction. The second one, I don't know how much boldness I'm going to get for this one. Maybe none, because Stephen Milam hit 8 home runs last year as a freshman. But I said that Milam would hit 10 home runs. I thought about jacking it up to 13, but I kept it there at 10. He hit 8 last year. You'll recall he had the big walk-off home run in the SEC tournament against South Carolina. He also had the big walk-off home run against Wofford. One of those came right-handed. One of those came left-handed. I think the point of making this kind of a quote-unquote bold projection is because he's 5'6". Like, he's just a small guy, but he does have some pop in his bat, and I think that he's going to hit some home runs this year. It wouldn't stun me completely if he finished second on the team in home runs this year with somewhere around 10 to 13 home runs. I think Jared Jones will probably hit 22, 25, but I think Milam's got a chance to be your second most productive power hitter. Now, certainly Danny Dickinson may have something to say about that. Luis Hernandez hit 23 home runs last year. He's got some power. Jake Brown is going to hit for more power this year, I think. We'll see what Derek Curiel does. He hit a home run on Saturday in the scrimmage, but I like Milam to hit with a little more thump this year. So give me Stephen Milam at 10 home runs for my second bold prediction. Anthony Ianson, I feel pretty good about as LSU's second or third starter at this point, and my bold projection was that he would lead LSU in strikeouts this year. Last year at UC San Diego, he struck out, I believe, 85. He struck out 85 last season. Fastball is going to be 93, 95, but the breaking ball is the bat misser, and that's the one he's going to have to lean on. He did so last year, and I think he's going to have a big year this year. I'm hopeful that the resources that LSU has unlocks a little bit more from Ianson. I'm not asking for the Skeens thing. We all know he came from Air Force and he had an uptick in velocity, and he just focused on his pitching, and some of that he credited to the pitch lab, and some of that he credited to Wes Johnson. And it was a pretty meteoric rise from Skeens to go from throwing 95, 96 to 101. But if Ianson can gain a 2 miles per hour on the heater, get up to 96, 97, and then throw that slider, like, I think he's got a chance to really miss some bats. So I think he's going to be an innings eater for LSU, and I think he's going to lead the team in strikeouts. If you were going to make a hypothetical betting line on this, Cade Anderson would probably be the shortest odds. Give me Ianson to lead the team in strikeouts. I think he's going to have a good year as a member of LSU's starting rotation. And then the last one, I think that Gavin Guidry and Connor Ware are both going to finish with at least 5 saves. I think those are the two guys that are going to be pitching high leverage innings at the back end of the bullpen for this LSU team. I think Ware is going to probably be the first, but I think Guidry is very comfortable in that spot. Yes, they're stretching Gavin Guidry out. Yes, he may get an opportunity to start. It wouldn't shock me if he started a game this weekend. But I do think that he will settle at the back end of the bullpen where he has been. He's throwing a little bit harder. He's got the great breaking ball, and that gives you a left-hander in Ware and a right-hander in Guidry. You can play some matchups, or if you need to extend Connor Ware, on a Friday where you win a game, if he's got to go get 8 outs, he's got to come in the 7th and get 8 outs to close it, kind of like Griffin Herring did at times last year. Well, that may shut him down on Saturday. That may be an opportunity for Guidry to come in if you need to close a close game there. So I think that it's unlikely to me that somebody comes up with 15, 16 saves, Matty Ott style in 2009. But I do think that those two guys will pitch the highest leverage spots like Griffin Herring did last year. And I think those two guys can both finish with at least 5 saves on the season. So my bold predictions for this LSU baseball team, they will not be swept all season long. Stephen Milam will hit 10 home runs. Anthony Ianson will lead LSU in strikeouts, and Gavin Guidry and Connor Ware will both finish with at least 5 saves. Those are the bold projections. I would tell you could go read about that at LouisianaSports.net, but I kind of just told it to you. So there's not going to be a lot more for you to chew on the story on LouisianaSports.net. There are a couple of more statistics in the written piece, but you can check that out for free. Speaking of LouisianaSports.net, there's just a ton going on over there right now. There's a story up on Matt McMahon and his contract, the SEC basketball weekend recap. Ross Jackson's got a column up talking about the Saints rebuild and how much time it'll take. There's social media reaction to the Super Bowl. 3 LSU Tigers listed among the nation's top 100 starting pitchers. Women's basketball team in the AP top 5. Nick Sirianni pleading with Kellen Moore to stay in Philadelphia, saying run it back. I don't think that's going to happen, but all that's there. If you're an LSU fan, Saints fan, Louisiana sports fan, you're looking for your fix where it comes to those teams, you can do it all at LouisianaSports.net. Let's stick with the baseball theme. I'm comfortable with it. I think y'all are comfortable with it. I don't think we need to talk much more basketball. Super Bowl is in the rearview mirror. Let's talk a little bit more baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Got an email today that made me really happy, but it was still a little bit funny to me as well. Got an email saying to look around for flights to Omaha. They haven't started playing yet, and the team at Guarantee wants to get out in front of that. So if LSU gets to Omaha, I'm going to be there because the flight's already booked for the Thursday of the College World Series. That's quality stuff. I like it. Makes me happy. We're a long way from that point. And if LSU's going to get to Omaha, they're going to have to play really good baseball. I went out and saw a scrimmage on Saturday, brought the Myers man out there. There was a lot of going down the slide, a lot of playground time. So I didn't lock in on every pitch like I would like to. But I was there, and I did see a little bit. So I'll give you some of the information that I gleaned from it. One was that Chase Shores and William Schmidt both pitched on Saturday. And my estimation on that is that Chase Shores is potentially your third starter, and William Schmidt is looking to compete as maybe a fourth starting option, maybe a bullpen guy. I'm not really sure what his role is, but you're not talking about the ace of the staff in either of those cases. And I'm watching them pitch, and Chase Shores hit 100 miles an hour with his fastball, and William Schmidt is a true freshman who throws 96 with a really good breaking ball. And these are guys down the line on LSU's staff. Both of them, had I been out at a scrimmage 12 years ago, would have been massive outliers as far as talent. They would have been in the Kevin Gausman realm. They would have been in the Anthony Renato realm. They would have been in the Aaron Nola, Alex Lang realm in terms of just raw talent. And then you would have guys kind of down the line that weren't nearly that gifted. I mean, I don't mean to slight these guys at all. They were really good pitchers at LSU. But I mean, do y'all remember Joey Bourgeois at LSU? Like, he was a high leverage reliever for a really good Paul Maneri team in 2013. He threw like 88, 89 miles an hour with a little breaking ball. Like, he was a really good pitcher. He helped a great team that could have won a national championship. But like, he was like your kind of back end bullpen type guy. Like, Matty Ott threw like 91. Like, he was not throwing smoke by any stretch. Like, Paul Bertesini on the 2009 team was a great pitcher, but he just threw a ton of breaking balls and like a 88-mile-an-hour fastball. Now I'm talking about guys throwing 100 that aren't necessarily the ace of the staff. That it's just like par for the course now. You go out there, and that did strike me when I was watching those guys. And both of them had their moments. I thought that William Schmidt's high moment was striking out Jarrett Jones with a good 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters. He also hit some bumps in the road. He gave up a home run to Derek Curiel, and he gave up a home run 3 pitches later to Jarrett Jones that went over the bleachers in left field. Jones hit 2 home runs on Saturday, and by all accounts is really locked in right now at the dish and is primed for a monster third season. And then Curiel is I was told, the best freshman hitter LSU's had since Dylan Cruz showed up. So that's high praise. Nobody is suggesting he's going to hit 426 in a couple of years and be the National Player of the Year and the second pick in the draft. That they're not comparing him to Dylan Cruz in that way, but just saying, like, this guy is really, really gifted as a hitter. So that's kind of the highs and lows there for Schmidt. And Shores, much the same, had his highs and lows. I wrote over at LouisianaSports.net kind of a reaction piece to the scrimmage on Saturday, and I mentioned the line of at bats that came off of Chase Shores that were just really, really impressive. Saw Tanner Reeves had a two-strike single that he hit into the outfield. Cade Arambidi drew a walk. Ethan Fry doubled off the top of the wall in right center field. Ashton Larson singled on a fastball with 2 strikes. Shores was getting ahead, doing a decent job of that. He was having a hard time putting guys away, and they really did a good job. But Shores did figure it out in his second inning of work and did a little bit better. The good news with Shores is that he's still throwing really hard. He's throwing in the high 90s. He was bumping up of 100 miles an hour. And the breaking ball, when he throws a good one, is good. Now, his command was a little bit iffy, and the breaking ball is not as consistent maybe as you would like. But that just comes from being on the mound more. Like, he just hasn't pitched a lot. He's thrown 18 college innings, and this is his 3rd year in college. So he just needs more time on the mound. I think I'm hopeful, because like right now, Chase Shores is not a finished product. I'm hopeful that at some point in like April, that something clicks for him and he becomes an elite starting pitcher in the SEC. The ability is there, but he's got to throw the ball where he wants to a little bit more often, and he's got to spin the ball a little bit better when he needs to. But the most important thing with Shores is that he's healthy and the velocity's good, and that's all right along schedule. So that's all very, very good for him. And then Schmidt, he struggled with some command there, and he got hit a little bit. But the natural tools are so great. And I think, as I wrote on LouisianaSports.net after practice on Saturday, like, there are a lot of programs around the country that if they had a talent like William Schmidt would feel like they needed to put him in the rotation immediately because he's just the best guy that you got. That's not the case at LSU. They don't have that pressure. They've got other guys they can go to. So if they want to start him on Tuesdays or they want to bring him in some mop-up duty to get his feet wet, like all of those things, they can put him in as low a leverage a spot as they want to right now because they've got other options of guys that they can put out there that can get big outs. And so that's a really nice spot for William Schmidt to be in, and I think he's going to be in really good shape here. And my hope for him, this is ambitious. My hope for him is sort of a Zach Hess freshman trajectory. If y'all recall, with Zach Hess, he was a starter in the midweek games as a freshman. And I remember he started a game, I think it was against Southeastern over in Hammond, and he wasn't even really pitching on the weekends. And then by the end of the season, when they got to Omaha in 17, he was the guy that was coming in, throwing 97 nasty sliders, just like a bulldog coming out of the bullpen. And maybe William Schmidt progresses to that. That'd be awesome. Maybe he progresses into the rotation. That'd be fantastic as well. But I think that process will be taken in steps for him, which I think is good. One of the concerns that I have with this team right now, and this is not a new one, but it does crop up when I've seen some scrimmages. LSU's catching defense is a little shaky right now, and that doesn't. Any of the three guys they put back there, I've seen some issues, and some of it is pitchers making some wild pitches, and some of it is guys just not quite doing the job from a blocking perspective. You've got to deaden the ball right in front of you and prevent extra bases, and LSU is having a little bit of a hard time doing that, and that's not surprising, okay? Luis Hernandez did not really catch for 2 years at Indiana State, and Cade Arambidi is now catching at a level that he has never seen before. There are fastballs and sliders that he's never seen before that he's having to catch, and it's taking some time. Same goes for Blaze Priester as well, so that'll definitely be a storyline to watch. I don't think LSU's going to be in a lot of trouble in early games, so it may not bite them in those games. The non-conference schedule, to be frank, is not awesome. Purdue, Fort Wayne's coming in here. Nebraska, Omaha's coming in here. Yeah, you got your trip up to Frisco, but that's not exactly against national powers, not playing the other SEC teams or anything. So they may have some time to work it out, but the LSU needs to catch the ball a little bit better. You had really good defender in Milazzo for the last couple of years, and keep in mind that Milazzo, Travinsky, and Brady Neal started every single game at catcher over the last 2 seasons for LSU, all of them. So you knew that you were going to have to break in some new guys there, and so the question is like who's going to step forward. And Jay Johnson was very, very clear in pre-fall practice press conferences, like defense is the most important thing at catcher for this team. So the guy that is caught the best is going to be out there the most. I think they're all going to get a little bit of time. They're all going to get some at-bats, maybe at DH here or there. But the guy that catches the best is going to see the first time. Right now, I think that's Luis Hernandez. But if you told me it was Cade Arambidi, I wouldn't be stunned. If you told me that Blaze Priester earned some time, I wouldn't be completely stunned there either. There are options. I think all three are going to see time. It would surprise me a lot if the same catcher started Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And one thing that I was told having a conversation with somebody inside the program is that you should expect to see like mid-game catcher changes. They're going to do that a little bit early on, get more reps, keep guys fresh. Specifically, Hernandez is a guy that hasn't caught a whole season before. That's the guy that they're going to count on for some offensive production. You don't really want to start that guy at catcher 50 games. Like that's a big ask for a guy that you hope to get some offensive pop from. So I think you'll see a rotation at catcher, and my hope is that looks a little bit better moving forward than it has throughout a lot of the fall. And then again, over the course of some of the preseason practices. Jay Johnson said in the scrimmages that LSU played against Samford and ULL that the catching did look a lot better. I'm hopeful there, but I will say those are a concern for me. When Musso and I recorded that baseball preview earlier today, this is a little spoiler on that. One of the things that I asked him was, what's a concern that you have on this team? And for me, it's twofold. One is defense up the middle of the field. That's catcher and then shortstop with Milam or Braswell, whoever it is. I'm not certain that's put to bed, and I'm not certain that LSU is great there. We'll see. Could be. But I have a little bit of a pause there about defense in the middle of the field, and then the lack of a proven ace. There are certainly options, and I think Cade Anderson's a monster talent that might be first or second round pick when this season is over as a draft eligible sophomore. But I would prefer to have Alex Lang coming back. I would prefer to have, like last year, even though Luke Holman didn't do it at LSU, he had taken the ball on Fridays for Alabama. He had taken the ball in a Wake Forest regional, super regional. He had been in that spot and given you some production. LSU doesn't have that guy. I just wish that guy was a little bit more clearly defined. But that's where we are right now. So that's a little bit of a look at LSU baseball. Tigers will be at it on Friday, 2:00. My show will air from Alex Box Stadium at some point prior to the game. So if you're coming out to the box, want to make sure you come by and see us. We'll be right behind home plate, outside the box, right there in the Champions Plaza. So very much looking forward to getting out there for the second year in a row for a little bit of baseball on opening day. Temps look like they're going to probably be in the 60s. Hopefully the rain stays away and we get a great weekend of baseball. I'm very much looking forward to it. I know there are many of you out there that are as well. Got 30 minutes to go. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. How often do you personally go on to Google and leave a review for your insurance broker? Probably not very often. Not something that a lot of folks do, but they do with the Highland Insurance Group. They've had over 100 Google reviews at the Highland Insurance Group. That's because they take care of their clients. They're wonderful to work with. They're incredibly detail-oriented, which is what you need in your insurance broker. And they're happy to put you in a position to where when that incident happens, whether it's a car accident, it's a lawsuit, cyber breach, hurricane, whatever the case may be, you're protected because your insurance policy is well placed and responds properly. Last thing you want to do is have something happen and then start diving into that policy to see if you're covered. No. And that's not going to happen to you if you do business with the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carver and his team are fantastic to work with. I know insurance is not the most fun topic in the world, but it's important. And you got to get it done correctly. And they'll do that for you at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
There are a lot of ways to do this job. And I kind of only know my way. I only kind of operate one way. And one of the things that I do is I do pay attention to what people are saying, what people are how they feel. I pay attention to that on Twitter. I pay attention to that on message boards. I pay attention to that with my friends in a text message. Like I want to react to what fan bases and the listener base feels. And so this segment may only apply to a small number of people that are a vocal minority, or maybe it's more pervasive than I think. But it's completely two completely different topics and people, but it's rooted in this is the public sentiment, and I'm going to react to that. And one of them is with Derek Carr. There was a lot of chatter down in New Orleans about the fact that Drew Brees was making the rounds in New Orleans, that Brian Brzee and Demario Davis and Cam Jordan were there as the city was hosting the Super Bowl, and they were a part of media, and Cam Jordan was doing a lot of different things, and Blake Groupie came on our show as well. And you saw a lot of Saints representing the city of New Orleans doing the rounds, and Derek Carr was nowhere to be found. And that irked a lot of people, and I didn't even notice it when it was going on. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, okay. And it just dawns on me that, like, his approval rating is so low in that city. And I'm not sure if that's because of his poor play at times, because of his injuries at times, because of some of the back and forth with his teammates, because he's not Drew Brees. Like, I'm not exactly sure what the issue is, but it's real. And so Jordan, I know you're here and like you kind of feel this way. I'm just curious kind of what it was rooted in, because it caught me off guard last week.
Okay, well, I'm going to just say it like this. Regardless of what Derek Carr does in the fan base's eyes, it's a lose-lose situation. He could have been out there, and then they would have found, oh, he's got a green shirt. Does he like the Eagles? Like, they would have nitpicked anything he does at this point.
Is it because he's not Drew Brees?
Well, it's one you haven't brought any results. You already came on. You started off on the wrong foot. You alienated the Michael Thomas. Like it's a whole bunch. And then Dennis Allen was your right hand man. You got Dennis Allen going to war for you. Fan base hates Dennis Allen, so it's kind of guilty by association. But at the same time, bro, if you win football games, there is no problems.
No, that's for sure. I mean, that is for sure the case. Winning cures everything.
No,
but it just, I mean, I think it's probably just a combination of all of this where people are like, he's hurt. He's getting in the back and forth with teammates. He says he's not going to take a pay cut. The team's not winning games. I guess all that. But, like, I do think that the guy is, generally speaking, a pretty good dude. Yeah. And I think that he is doing everything he can, playing through injury. He played through more than he should have in his first year. And he should have not been playing when he was out there, and it compromised his play a lot. Then he got healthier, and he played better at the end of the season. He had 2 really good games to start this year, and then obviously the offensive line went to hell, and then he did actually get hurt. And, like, I don't know. I don't have the emotional attachment to the Saints that a lot of folks have, so maybe it's just a different perspective. But, like, it was noticeable in that city last week that people are just anti, and I don't think I caught enough wind of that until I was in it.
Well, also, I want to say it like this, too. When with Derek Carr, like I said, winning does cure everything, and that's truly what it boils down to. If we had a playoff berth, I highly doubt the Heat would be even this high on him. But the fact that he's in and out the lineup, like you said now, like at this point, his Saints tenure has been riddled with injuries. We're still we're losing the division to Baker Mayfield and not Desmond Ridder last year, Kirk Cousins at first, and Michael Penix. So when you have that and you got this big price tag at first, granted, he's not like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts money.
It's like an average QB contract for the league.
But people don't. The average casual fan, they don't care about that. They just see $100 million and be like, oh, we're paying them top dollar. Like, no, we need top dollar results. So it's a combination.
It's interesting. So that's one thing that I wanted to address with the fan base. And the next one, this is probably me reacting to something that I shouldn't, but it's just out there, and we've got 2 hours to fill today, and I just felt like I could shoehorn it in here. I understand that people are not happy with the results in men's basketball. That's obvious. You're 1-8 in the league. You have 2 ugly losses this past week, and then you've got a game where you had a 13-point lead late in the game and couldn't hold it. I understand that Matt McMahon talked about wanting to make the NCAA tournament this year, and you look like you're ticketed for 16th or 15th in the SEC this year. And I get that people are upset about that, and there's good reason. This is not an acceptable result to this point for LSU men's basketball. And y'all also know this about me. I've been very clear about this, not trying to hide anything at all. LSU pays me during football season to do pre and post game. You are not going to hear me come on these airwaves and say a coach should be fired. That's not going to happen. That's just the way it is. I can tell you right now that being 1-8 in SEC play, ticketed for 2-16 in a third year is not an acceptable result. And Matt McMahon would say that he said preseason, we're not here to go to the NIT. We need to make the NCAA tournament and win some games there. And right now you're ticketed for last. Like that's obvious. I don't have to break that down. What you see on the internet is that, hey, there's a coach in Lake Charles you need to go hire. Like, not like one person saying that. Like, a lot of people are saying that. You need to turn that off. That is not going to happen. Scott Woodward fired Will Wade, okay? And Will Wade knows the same thing that you, the LSU basketball fan, knows. Where is men's basketball in the pecking order in this fan base? Look at the crowds in the PMAC. I wrote this last week. LSU basketball fans, generally speaking, do not get mad. They tune out. That's just the way it goes. And I don't think Will Wade knows that. I don't think he's in a hurry to come take a job where he knows that that's the case. And I think any LSU fan that is making the argument that they should go hire Will Wade, which, by the way, they have a basketball coach right now, you know that basketball runs fourth on the totem pole here. LSU's men's basketball team right now is the third highest draw in its own building. Women's basketball and gymnastics both outdraw men's basketball at LSU. So and I know that I can hear y'all talking like, well, if you brought in a coach and actually won, what happened? Well, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to do that. And you're already spending a lot of money on the football team, and you do spend money on the baseball team, and there's only so much. I don't have those conversations. I don't know who's involved there, but I know what the totem pole looks like in Baton Rouge. I've lived here since 2006. And basketball is thought of as a bridge from the bowl game to the first pitch. And I just don't think that that's an easy place to hire to. So right now, it's not a conversation that's worth having. Like, that's not realistic. You're not being realistic if you suggest that that's what's going to happen. I'm going to watch them the rest of the way. Hopefully they turn it on and win some games. In watching them the last couple of weeks, you don't get the sense that that's on the horizon, but that's why they go out there and play the games. You're playing two teams this week that aren't very good. They're on the road. We'll see. But that it's not like one person said, well, they should just go hire Will Wade back. And I know that things like that have happened before. Bobby Petrino went back to Louisville. Saw that. And that's something that is a fantasy to talk about, but it's just not realistic. What needs to happen is LSU needs to have a fan base that gets more invested in men's basketball. And until that happens, this is going to kind of be the product that you've got. Because right now, LSU is at the bottom tier of the SEC in terms of spending. And if you are at the bottom in terms of spending, this is the result that's going to happen. And that's the toughest thing, because it's hard to criticize like someone inside the basketball program when a lot of what needs to happen is people outside the program spending a bunch of money in the program. And then it's hard for me to get on here and like criticize how people spend their money. That's their money. It's hard to analyze, but it just is what it is. So look, that discussion is one that doesn't need to happen. And it's okay to feel critical of the basketball program right now because starting 1-8 is something that should be criticized. This is a campus that is thriving in baseball and thriving in women's basketball and gymnastics, that's thriving in women's golf, that's got a nationally competitive softball program. Like, there are very few athletic programs in that, very few teams in that athletic department that aren't near the top of the SEC. And men's basketball right now is one of them. That's beyond debate. It just is what it is. And until a lot of money gets dumped into that, that's kind of going to be what you get. So, again, I'm not going to be fire the coach guy. That's just not going to happen on these airwaves. I will assess the program and determine what things look like. And obviously, if you want to blame Jalen Reed's injury and Tyrell Ward walking away or what, it is what it is. So the only way to fix it is to throw money at it. We'll see if that happens. All right, we got one segment to go. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. And no matter what industry you're in, no matter what vertical market you are in, Trey Beal and his team at Gulf Coast Office Products have clients in that vertical, whether it's healthcare, law, education, like us, a media company here. He knows your needs from printing, scanning, copying need. And maybe you don't, but he does, and he'll make it happen for you. They got a ton of resources over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're statewide and can help you out wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. Check them out online. It's gcopnet.com. That's our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, one more segment to go on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions, avssla.com is that website. Mitchell Fisher and his team are phenomenal to work with. For us, the customer service has just been second to none. We've had a couple of issues, generally self-inflicted, with the folks over at AVSS, and it's so easy to just pick up the phone, call Mitchell on his cell phone. He'll have somebody over there that afternoon or the very next day. They're always willing to help. They're always efficient, and again, that customer service has been fantastic. They installed our home entertainment system as well as our burglar and security alarm back when we moved just about 1 year ago. And we've called them 4 or 5 times. It's always been a delight to work with them over at Audio Video Security Solutions. Whether it's hanging televisions, doing surround sound, putting in voice-activated features in your living room or your security system, all that can be handled by my friends at Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram at AVSS_BR and find them online, avssbr.com, avssbr.com. All right, winding things down here on a Monday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Glad to be back in studio this week after a week in NOLA. Be back out on the road on Friday for LSU baseball out at the box. 2 o'clock first pitch. Lots of baseball coverage coming your way here. And, of course, on LouisianaSports.net as well. So, going to be a fun week. Very much looking forward to the close of it with some LSU baseball getting fired up. We talked a little bit baseball today. If you want to catch that where you find your sound, you can do so. Search Hunt Palmer Show, and it'll all be right there for you. As I mentioned, Hunt and Musso did about 40 minutes on the LSU baseball team earlier today. That'll be available on YouTube starting tomorrow. I'll go ahead and tweet it. So just be on the lookout for that as we get closer to first pitch. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
Alrighty then. Let's start this bad boy off. Make sure my sound's good. Okay, we good. All right, Dallas Mavericks star power forward and center Anthony Davis is expected to miss multiple weeks because of a left abductor strain. This is coming after his historical Luka Doncic trade, who makes his Lakers debut tonight, by the way. Is Dallas GM Nico Harrison in danger? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it, but this is an odd move, and it's just not surprising at all that Anthony Davis just immediately got hurt. I mean, immediately got hurt. That's just what you knew was going to happen. This is still just puzzling on so many levels. It's just so odd, and that's kind of exactly what you thought might happen. If I'm a Mavericks fan, I'm just sad because you had one of the game's best players who had just taken you to the finals, and you traded him for a guy that's always in street clothes and will be in street clothes for the first 2 months of his Mavericks career. So just a weird deal all the way around.
All right. So then, let's get a little bit spicy. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni makes it plea to emphasis on future, Saints head coach Kellen Moore to come back to Philly and run it back. Will he stay? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. Kellen Moore is going to be the next head coach of the Saints. The deal, and this is, you can paint this as a bad thing if you want, but like, Kellen Moore is not going to have a lot of options, I don't think, to be a head coach. Like, this is one opportunity that he could take. Yes. I don't know that he was seriously considered for any of the other openings this year.
Nope.
So, look, you can take that as a negative. Maybe the Saints just found a diamond in the rough and that nobody saw coming. But this is a chance that this goes to Mickey Loomis's comment, like there's only 32 jobs. Like, it'll be highly coveted.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the case here with Kellen Moore. I just don't know where else he could go. Yes. That's a comfy situation in Philadelphia. Cliff Kingsbury's kind of taken his comfy situation in Washington for another year. But you get this opportunity if you want to be a head coach, if that's your dream. Like, you got to make sure the contract says that you've got a little time to restart things in New Orleans, but you got to take that chance.
All right. Auburn and Alabama will face off Saturday in basketball, and it'll be the first number 1 versus number 2 AP matchup in SEC history. Incredibly, college basketball. I'm so used to them being college football teams.
Yep.
College basketball is first since 2008. Does this mean SEC is a basketball conference now? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Football still drives the bus, but the Big Ten had a pretty good football season this year. The SEC struggled down the stretch, and you look at what the SEC's done in basketball. It is clearly the best basketball league in the country, and Auburn and Alabama are really, really, really good. I looked up the salaries for Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates. I mean, Bruce Pearl is making north of $5 million this year. Nate Oates' salary escalates up over $7 million here in the next couple of years. You're talking about LSU right now that's paying Matt McMahon closer to 2.5. So you're
Put your money where your mouth is.
I mean, that's the deal. The Auburn and Alabama have invested heavily in basketball. Auburn built a brand new arena and hired Bruce Pearl. Alabama got lucky with Nate Oates, but once they found out they had something they could work with, they started to really go hard on that roster, and they've done a really good job with that as well. So that's the type of investment it takes to be really, really good, and they are really, really good. I think that game's going to be incredible coming up on Saturday.
All right, Super Bowl commercials. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Like, I just
You didn't like them this year?
I didn't feel like it was great. I don't even think I can recite one off memory that was really, really good.
I will give you that. The only one that really was, I was like, oh my goodness, was the Doritos one. Where it was like the alien trying to take the Doritos bag, and he was like,
I just feel like in my child, maybe it's because I was a kid, but like there was always some incredible beer commercial that was just awesome.
They've been missing lately.
I mean, and you always kind of like Anheuser-Busch to do something with the Clydesdales or something.
Yes.
I like when they like recreate like old TV shows and stuff. I didn't really see much of that last night. Like, it just, I can't even come up with one that like was super memorable. I did.
Oh, the Seal commercial. I like the Seal commercial with Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
like
the seal was okay.
Seal
That was okay. It was an
trippy,
actual
though.
seal.
It was a little trippy.
Again, I was also cooking at the time, and I have a 3-year-old running around, so I'm not as locked in maybe as I once was at a given point. But I just didn't feel like it was an awesome go
nothing
for
really
commercials.
jumped out where I was like, oh, I just like the Doritos one because obviously it was like I'm gonna say the best one at the time since I remembered it, but nothing really was hard hitting like how they usually are.
I thought, as I mentioned, that New Orleans did a phenomenal job with the Super Bowl. I thought that with the score of the game, the halftime show, commercials, like it was kind of a dud of a watching experience.
Oh, let me ask you this: how did you feel about the new score bug?
Everyone was going nuts about the score bug. Like, it told me what the score was. It told me who had timeouts. I thought it was fine.
Controversial. It was very controversial.
I thought it was fine. I understand that it there was an old school kind of feel to it.
It felt like.
But I thought it was
brand
fine.
new. It felt real like what is it called? Minimalism, whatever. It felt minimalistic. Like it felt very minimalistic. It felt also. When you present something new, people are going to hate it.
Yes, that's first. I mean, look, the proof in that was that we changed the voice lady on this station. Everybody went nuts. Like this,
and I'm so used to hearing her. Yeah, I'm so used to hearing it now.
But like, I thought the score bug was just fine. I did not have a huge issue with it. So it was almost like a unanimous display of vitriol over the whole thing. Everyone was just really cranky about the score bug. I just need to know what the score is, what down it is, who's got some timeouts left, and what the clock says. And that it was all accomplished right there. I mean,
it's very controversial for them. I was like, oh my goodness, is this serious?
And it's interesting that they would roll that out for the Super Bowl, to do something different for the Super Bowl. You would think
everybody
that you would
eyes on
stick
it.
to the bread and butter there. But what do you think of Tom Brady?
All right, I'll be real. I like Tom Brady. I'm trying to wrap this up. I like Tom Brady, but I also like the fact that Tom Brady was an all-time quarterback. So when he sees a bad quarterback play, he'll call it out. He'll be like, look, you got to see him right there. And I'm like, Tom, he's not you, man. They don't see the backside safety coming down. Like, he'll always do something like that. So
he had some real bumps early in the season, as you might. Like I've done that job one time, television color, and certainly don't have Tom Brady's credentials, but I did SEC Network with Lynn Rollins on TV, and it does take some getting used to. And I'm in broadcasting; he has not been in broadcasting, but I thought last night he was pretty good. I thought he had a pretty good game. I thought he did a good job of identifying some things that a quarterback would, and understanding how difficult Mahomes' situation was because he had so much pressure on him. I thought he was pretty good last night. I think Greg Olson's significantly better.
Yes, Greg Olson's all time.
But I didn't think Brady took away from the telecast last night. So that's it for a little bit of Take It or Leave It. If you missed any of the show today, catch it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We'll be back with more, same time and same place. You're listening to a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on every new purchase. 10 years, 100,000 miles on every new purchase of Genesis. Phenomenal. 3 years of complimentary maintenance on every purchase. And to one-up that, 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance. You don't even have to go to the store on Airline and PQ. You can. It's a phenomenal first-class facility there, and they've got a great team. But they can come to you, take your vehicle back to the dealership, do all your maintenance work right there, bring it right back to you. Complimentary for 3 years. It's just part of the perks of being a Genesis driver. If you've never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis, just give it a shot. You're probably going to be on Airline Highway anyway if you're buying a car. Just stop by and see them right there at PQ. It's across from Women's Hospital. Tell them Hunt sent you over there. Get behind the wheel and see the difference. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.